Okay. All right. So first and foremost, turn your side hustle into a full-time income and wealth, right? All right. So let's get going. So first and foremost is leaving your day job. All right. This is something that not a lot of people talk about when they're talking about all these great opportunities that we have to make money online and do all this stuff. Well, this is a real business. I'll continue to remind everybody. But also there's actual real steps that you can take to transition from a day job into a, true. Take your side hustle and transition your day job over to doing your side hustle full time. Okay. All right. And so here's how that looks. And I'm going to kind of align it with the way I did it. Understand there's different ways you can do this, but here's the way the way I looked at it. And I think it's very easy for people to look at this and understand, and more importantly, have a plan for that time where it's, all right, my business is making money, but I have there's some nerves and some scariness about leaving the comfort and security of a day job. That's what keeps a lot of people trapped from actually managing and running a successful business full time is they're too scared to leave. It's a great idea, like make extra money. And like, yeah, I'm tired of my day job. I'd like to start my own business. But people end up staying trapped too long in side hustle mode and don't have a plan, and or when the time comes where it makes sense to transition, they stay frozen, again, mainly because they don't have a plan. And then they never fully realize the benefits of of working for themselves, right? And having a real business that's supporting their life and their lifestyle, because they can't let go of that day job. Well, it's all about planning to make it happen. It's about understanding what needs to happen for you to leave. All right. So here's the way I did it. And the way I initially looked at it is like, look, okay, I don't care if I make a ton of money, as long as I'm making the same amount of money that I'm making from my job, because I'm already surviving life at my job. Like I'm already living and surviving. That's just the way it is right now. That's life. I have a day job and I'm living life and I'm surviving. Okay. So my thought was, look, if I can start a business and have that business at least make the same amount of money that I'm bringing home at my day job, well, then I'll have enough money to survive, but I get the benefit of working from home. I get the benefit of having a ton of freedom in my day. Okay. And so that's the way I looked at it. My goal wasn't, I'm going to make $10,000 a month. I wasn't making $10,000 a month in my day job. So I didn't magically say, I need to make $10,000 a month. A lot of people do that. And that's fine. You can have these goals. But if people set more realistic goals, more people would achieve them, which would then give them the confidence to achieve the next level goals, which is actually technically what most people try to start off with. But having that confidence is what's going to allow you to transition out of your day job or make the decisions that's going to speed up you getting those results, if all that makes sense. Okay. So let's look at some math or numbers and kind of put this into action. Okay. So first and foremost, the way I looked at it, or not the way I looked at it, is I knew I needed to make about the same amount of money to work from home. Okay. But let's take a look at what that actually looks like number-wise and how we can use that to transition out. Okay. All right. So let's just say, I'm just going to say for numbers purposes that I'm making $4,000 a month. Okay. Total, all my paychecks come in, I'm making $4,000 a month from my day job. Okay. Now again, it's for the example purposes. It doesn't matter whether you're making more or less. All right. So that's my goal. I have to make a $4,000 a month before I can even consider leaving my day job. Okay. So let's just say we're just going to transition it by months. Okay. Month one. And I'm at $4,000 a month. Okay. Now I'm going to speed up the results of the side hustle. I may make this much money in a side hustle right away, or it may take some time. I'm just using this for example purposes. Okay. So look, let's just say I close a deal and I make $500, right? Sold a website, whatever, one of my AI built websites, and make $500 from my side hustle. Okay. Well, not enough to leave my day job, but I made some money. And what most people overlook and don't pay attention to is, yeah, you only made 500, but you just made $4,500 in a month versus the 4,000 that you were making. Okay. The extra money is where I'm going to allow myself to transition out. Okay. Because here's the deal. What I need to be doing with the extra money, let's see, I'm not sure what's going on. Okay. My plan is I wanted to be doing two things. Okay. I want to eliminate the fear of leaving my day job. And that fear usually comes from two different things. It usually comes from lack of savings and too much debt. So I'm already contributing, hopefully, to both of these. But if I'm not, I'm definitely contributing at least one of these. If I have debt, I'm probably contributing at least to that. I'm already paying something on my debt. Okay. My goal is to take my extra money as much as I can and shove it into both savings and debt. And I can just do a 50-50 if I wanted to, right? So we'll use actual numbers here. But my goal would be to start trying to reduce. I would use the avalanche method. Okay. What that is I'm going to start with or maybe it's the snowball method. I don't remember which. I think it's the avalanche. Start with the lowest debt first. Say I owe 200, and then I owe 800, and then I owe 2,000. Say they're credit cards or whatever. I'm going to pay off the lowest amount first, and then pay the minimums on everything else. And then once I pay this off, I take whatever full amount I was paying on this one, add it to the minimum I was already paying on this one, and minimums on everything else until I pay this one off. And then so on and so forth until I've eliminated pretty much all my debt. That's my I'm not worried about my mortgage if I have a house at play. If I have a car loan and it's less than, say, 5%, I'm not worried about that. It's just this credit card. It's just this high interest debt that's eating up my cash flow. Because my goal doing all this is I want to maximize my cash flow. So I'm bringing in lots of money a month that I'm keeping. Okay. So let's just say I'm just taking my side hustle. I got $250 now in savings and $250 extra that I put towards debt. Okay. And again, ideally I'm using the avalanche and I'm trying to eliminate pieces of debt. So I freed up cash flow. Okay. Now let's just say, we'll skip it out a little bit. So it's not like I'm making all this money all this time, but just it doesn't matter, the timeline. So month 3, I'm at $4,000 in the month of my day job. But over the last couple months, I've sold $500 a month of reoccurring marketing services to 2 different businesses. So now I'm at $1,000 a month of income from my side hustle. Okay. Most people are neglecting the fact that I went from 4,000 to now I'm making $5,000 a month. Okay. So what am I doing with the extra income? I'm adding it up down here. Okay. More importantly, I'm stacking this and I'm reducing this. right? And then, okay, 4,000. And let's say now I'm at $3,000 a month. Okay. I'm now making $7,000 a month. Okay. I should not be blowing this money. I should not just be having a good old time partying up. Okay. This should actually be contributing to me building up my savings and getting out of debt, reducing my debt as much as humanly possible. Okay. And then eventually, I might be making more. Okay. I went a little bit more than my day job before I left. Okay. And it actually started working that as I was leaving, I ended up stacking up almost nearly double the amount of money I was making by the time I actually left, just because of the timing of how some of the clients started coming in when I was already kind of considering leaving. But let's just say now I'm at $4,000 a month in my day job, and now I'm at $5,000 a month at my side hustle, right? Well, for one, I just made $9,000 in a month, right? I haven't been doing that. And again, I'm skipping around, right? You're building up to this. And as you're building up, you're still getting extra money here. It's still stacking. You have extra money that you're continuously adding down here. I'm also continuously paying off debt. And my goal is to get to the point where this is more than this, right? I'm making more in my side hustle than I am in my day job. But through the months, as I'm doing that, I'm continuously using extra money because I'm already living on this. It's okay if you want to take 10% or 20% and throw it in for just feel good money. But if you truly want to turn your side hustle into a full-time business, you actually need to do some planning and be smart and build up your savings so you feel more comfortable and reduce your debt as much as possible so you can free up as much cash flow. Okay. Then things I'm doing in between is I want to I'm building savings. Building savings account, liquid, not investing it away. I'm building up my savings account so it's nice and liquid. I have access to it. Reducing debt, which I'm ultimately trying to free up. Actually, I'll just put it in his own second line, because what I'm ultimately trying to do is free up cash flow. Right? That's by reducing debt. I also want to eliminate unnecessary monthly expenses. Think subscriptions, just a bunch of crap that we rack up over time that's coming out of your paycheck or coming out of your bank account monthly. Okay? Because if I was making $4,000 from a day job and I had, let's just say $3,000 of expenses I'm paying a month. Again, I'm just using, we'll say 2,000. Okay. Then I only usually have typically $2,000 a month to play around with. And that's my money. Okay. And that's for anything and everything that I'm doing, but that's what's left. But if I get my side hustle up to say $5,000 and I'm able to eliminate some debt. So I eliminated and freed up some monthly payments, eliminated some unnecessary subscriptions. And instead of $2,000, I get it down to say 1,600. Okay. Well, not only did I prepare myself by making sure I'm making a little bit more than my day job, not only do I have that kind of confidence, I've also built up my savings account a bit. And because I've eliminated some debt and freed up some cash flow, I got a lower output of expenses. So I'm keeping more money. So now I have, instead of 2,000, I gave myself a raise, even though I've only increased my income by 1,000. I've essentially given myself a $1,400 a month raise. So now I have 3,400. So all this is just math and numbers to show you my goal is to keep working my side hustle and use the money smartly so I can prepare myself to confidently and comfortably leave my day job. I can tell this is a boring topic because people pop in and then disappear. And I have like one person out of 7,000 people watching me right now. Unfortunately, it's one of the most important lessons that I'll ever provide people for people who really want to survive. Luckily, this is going out on YouTube, so hopefully I can help some people out there. All right. My next goal so then I leave my day job. Okay. And I'm like, all right, now I'm going to go full time. Now the benefit of that is I now, even if nothing else changes, I'm making more in my side hustle and I've reduced my expenses. So I'm actually better off financially, even if I make no more extra money. Okay. I went from only having about $2,000 a month to play with. And again, some of that's probably already spoken for, to now it's up to 3,400. And really nothing's changed. I'm making about the same amount of money. Okay. So that alone is enough for me to comfortably be set up. And more than likely my savings is looking pretty good because I've been stacking the extra money. Again, at least 50% of it, I've been stacking in the savings. Okay. All right. So now that I've left my day job and I have my business and I'm full-time in my business, well, now I can focus full-time on my business. More than likely my income in my business will increase because I'm now, I was doing it part-time, juggling it with my life and my day job. Well, now I'm full-time working on my business. So I literally have nothing to focus on but my business. Okay. So now this is where, and ultimately this is where, whether I'm working in my business as full-time or even as a side hustle, and because I ultimately want to stay at my day job. Some of you want to stay at your day job. You just want to keep doing something part-time. That's fine too. So this can still apply to you, but it's definitely important for people who are full-time business. You don't have a day job. Okay. It's important to consider money, your everyday money, so that you don't ever run into a position where you're nervous, you get scared, you got to run back and find a job, or you're constantly worried about money. This is going to help you eliminate that. Okay. Or reduce that anxiety so you can stay focused on your business, which is ultimately what you wanted, right? You ultimately wanted to leave your day job, work from home, and make this money. As your money increases, okay, you get more confident and comfortable. But if you're doing this along the way, fluctuations in income won't bother you. And it just, again, the goal is to not wake up and be anxious and nervous every day of your life. Okay. So let's just talk about some basic wealth accumulation, building up my money so that, again, I can ride out the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur and ultimately still have a mindset that is, look, I don't want to work forever. And whether I can sell my business or not, it won't matter if I'm financially prepared. And so that if I want to, I can just ride out my business. And then when I'm done, I just pull the plug and sail off into the sunset. Okay. So these are some things that can help you. I'm not a financial planner, although I was one at one point. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not any kind of licensed anything. I'm just going to share exactly kind of the things that I have focused on, things that I do, things that other people may do. They're just ideas to throw out there. and things that you could easily, if nothing else, you could do this stuff to start building a foundation until you got better advice or talk to a professional or something like that. Okay. One of the first things that you want to do and stay focused on, honestly, because we were already talking about this as we were preparing to leave our day job, right? We were building up that savings account. So we had a nice cushion so we could comfortably leave our day job. Okay. Well, that doesn't really change once we're full-time. We want to make sure that, there's a bunch of different numbers. You want a minimum 6 months. And I'd like to say 6 months income. Okay. Some people say, 6 months expenses. I don't like that simply because say my income is $4,000, or what, we'll just keep using this example. Say my income is $5,000. And what did we say? My expenses are $1,600. Let's just say that. Okay. Well, this is an emergency savings. If I'm tapping into it, it means my income potentially isn't there anymore, right? Come on. What is this? Go. What are we doing? It means this is significantly taking a hit or something, right? Or maybe I've lost all my income and I have 6 months of expenses. Well, that's fine. Month one, I pay my expenses of $1,600, but how am I going to live? Great. I got 6 months of expenses covered. Well, I'd rather have income. I'd rather have 6 months of this so that I can pay my expenses and still have money left over to do that thing called life, right? So I focus and recommend, because if I aim for income and I fall a little short, I'm definitely covered in expenses. Okay. So in this case, my goal is I want to be putting money, not all my money, but I want to focus my extra money as much as I can into emergency savings. Now, again, this is kind of turning into a financial thing, but no one talks about this stuff. Okay. An easy number that you can use if you're like, how do I know how much to put into this each month without screwing myself or whatever? You could easily use Richest Man in Babylon, one of the best books you'll ever read about financial IQ, getting your financial IQ up. And it's very simple. It's easy to read. It's a short book. It flies by. It tells it in the form of a story. This is the percentages that they recommend. This is what I've been using for a long time. Okay. Live on 70%. 20% goes to any kind of debt that's there. And this is savings, investments. Once you eliminate your short-term debt, this kind of stuff here that we were looking at, our credit card bills, not talking about mortgage. I'm not talking about, a car loan that's less than 5% or something. I'm just talking about the crazy, nasty debt, medical bill, whatever kind of stuff that's racking up interest, credit card debt typically. Once I've eliminated that, this 20% rolls down to here. Okay. So then that will turn into 30% eventually. Okay. Or if I got my debt under control, I can reverse this 20% into savings investments and then 10% into the debt. Okay. These are easy numbers, little guidelines to start with, and they scale with no matter how much money I'm making. I have percentages. So it doesn't matter if I'm making 5,000 this month or I end up hitting 8,000, this scales with me. Okay. So my goal though is to get at least, I'm looking for 6 months of income into emergency savings. Once I have that, and by the way, I'm probably putting that in a high yield savings account because that's probably making about 3% interest right now as of this video. Okay. Versus a regular savings account. It's just as liquid, just as accessible, except for regular savings, you're looking at 0.2%. Whereas a high yield savings, I'm getting 3%. Okay. You can set those up online. They tie right to your bank account, right to your checking account. You can transfer money back and forth just as easy as you can a regular savings account. Okay. So I recommend getting a high yield savings. because it makes your money, it's almost like a mini investment in a way, but it's very liquid and I can access it for any kind of emergency kind of thing. Okay. Once I have that, whatever I was contributing, I have my 6 months, I shouldn't be touching this. Once I have this, I can spill over into a brokerage account. I can open that up with Charles Schwab or E-Trade or even Robinhood, I guess would work something. And then instead of putting the money into emergency savings, I can put it into like an S&P 500 fund, like VU, something like that, where I can average around 8% a year. Although like the last year, it's been like 20%, I think, because of the market. But some months it's going to lose, or some years it may lose money. Ultimately, over the history of time, we're looking at 8 to 10%. And that's just something better that I have liquid access to that isn't a savings account. So my money can work a little harder and I can save that for later things like cash flowing assets. Okay. So I have my spillover going into the brokerage, and then I'm ultimately looking to put into cash flowing assets. Okay. That might be real estate. Okay. It might be private equity. This stuff is a little bit higher level and you're probably going to wait till you have a decent amount of money. By the way, I can just not do this and just stay focused here and stay focused down here and be completely fine. But this is as I'm making more money and money's building up and opportunities maybe present themselves. Okay. I'm not a real estate investor. James, he owns apartment buildings and stuff like that. I've done some investments like that. I'm more of I don't have time to figure out all that BS. James learned a lot from his dad, who's been investing in real estate his whole life. I don't have that. I don't have the time to try to figure it out, nor do I want to be wasting my time doing that. So I'm more of let me give my money to someone who can do that and let them do it. So there are things out there that you may come across, but my whole, it could be dividend stocks. Okay. Ultimately, with the goal, let's see if I have if this is me, my funky arms and income, say I'm making that $5,000 a month. Okay. That's going to me every month. What I'm ultimately looking to do is invest into, again, whether that's real estate, private equity, or dividend stocks is something that I can easily do in my brokerage. Okay. Or in my retirement accounts. I'm ultimately looking to build a pile of money that monthly $5,000 a month, so that if this goes away, I can live off this. That's the point of the cash flowing assets. Okay. Stuff where I put money into it and it pays me out monthly or quarterly. And when I equal that all out, it equals to it covering the amount of money that I'm already making. Okay. I don't know why this thing freezes up like this. Work, go where I say. Okay. That's what cash flowing assets are. All right. By the way, I can accumulate all that money into these things and end up making enough money ultimately that I get paid out monthly that covers my income. And that's ultimately what retirement's all about. It's about getting a big pot of money so that whatever I'm making in my life, or more importantly, whatever I need for retirement, say I'm making $5,000 a month, I'm just going to stick with 5,000. Obviously, I'd want to make more if I can, or if I want to. If it's $5,000, but maybe in retirement I only need 4,000, then that's the number. Okay. I'm just looking to have a pile of money that is ultimately going to pay me every month the same amount of money or whatever I need in retirement for the rest of my life, without really trying to tap into that money, without draining all that money. That would be the ultimate goal. Okay. But sometimes you have to reduce your egg a little bit. All right. Anyway, enough of this. Let me get out of this weeds stuff. Ultimately, okay, this stuff up here, if I just do this, I'm good. Okay. This. What I then also want to start doing, okay, is again, once I get up to, if I can get to, maybe I'm using 10% to do this. If I can then get to 20% minimum, ideally I eliminate the debt and I can get up to 30%. Okay. But I can start looking at taking 10%. So 10% going into this stuff and then 10% going in here. Okay. Again, as a start. And then I'm just trying to ultimately maximize as much money as I can. Okay. Things that I can do being self-employed. Okay. I can set up my own 401k. Okay. I can set up a Roth and an individual. The only difference between those two is when I'm taxed. Okay. But I have both. You can technically set up both of them. Okay. Now, again, limits and how much you can contribute. If there's percentages and whatnot, someone way smarter than me can help guide you. You can even use AI to kind of get ideas and stuff. But ultimately, you can contribute just like you did at your employer's 401k. You can actually create your own 401k. I have mine in E-Trade, okay, and then contribute into these for your retirement, just like you would if you're employed. Okay. Beyond your 401k, you can also have a regular or a Roth, a traditional or regular or traditional or Roth IRA. Okay. That's separate from your 401k. Okay. I have what's called a backdoor Roth. That means you can contribute to a traditional and then convert it to a Roth. The difference between the two, traditional, I get to take a tax kind of write off, if you will. I'm just using simple terms, right? Say I'm making $50,000 a year in my business income, all my income, $50,000 a year. And I contribute to a individual 401k. Okay. Let's just say I contributed 5,000, just pull random numbers. It's almost the equivalent of me saying that I'm only making 45,000, right? I get to write off essentially what is put in here. It's not accurate and doesn't line up dollar for dollar. I'm just trying to make it easy to understand. Whereas the Roth, but when I retire, that traditional individual IRA or 401k, when I pull that money out in retirement, I get taxed then. Okay. For the Roth, say I make $50,000 a year and I contribute 5,000 to the Roth, I don't get any tax benefit up front. It's IRS still sees that I make $50,000 and I get taxed on that. But in retirement, when I start withdrawing that money, I don't pay any taxes. So it can continue to grow and do all the stuff and say it turns into $1 million. And I start withdrawing that, I don't get taxed on any of it. Whereas in the individual 401k or the individual IRA, traditional IRA, I will get taxed on that $1 million, right? So it's a bigger bucket of money I get taxed on. Again, a tax professional, a CPA or accountant, whatever, can give you advice on that, on what makes sense for you and your situation. But ultimately, what I'm trying to share is you have retirement options I waited way too long to figure this out. I was thinking, oh, well, I'm self-employed. I have my own business. I don't have a 401k or any of that stuff that I can contribute to. So I guess I might as well just so I was putting all my money here. Okay. It took me years down the road. It was only in recent years that I realized I could be doing all of this stuff and getting nice tax benefits and build up traditional type retirement money that normal people have. Okay. So bottom line is, my goal is, in my percentages, I want to be contributing to this and to this. Okay. You want to equally until you're comfortable here. Again, I want probably at least 6 months of income here. And then start whatever, once I hit 6 months here, just pour the rest into the brokerage and let the stock market just kind of manage my money. And I can, again, use that money and sell that off as I want to invest into any opportunities for cash flowing assets that pop up, or I can just leave it. Okay. I also want to be contributing to retirement. Now, ideally, I would ultimately max these out the best I can. Again, make sure it fits into your allocations. Don't go broke trying to fund your retirement. And then 3 years down the road, you didn't really put money here and you left yourself exposed. And then you have to go into your retirement accounts to start withdrawing. There's penalties involved that can be involved in that kind of stuff. Okay. And so ultimately, what I'm trying to do is essentially this, right? I'm trying to have non-retirement money and then I want retirement money. (401ks), IRAs. Okay. And I want both of these, especially this one, this one, this one, and this one, to get turned into a big pile of money that pays me, that's able to pay me income monthly. All right. And it all starts with me preparing. It's me, I make my money, I continue to live on that money. My goal is to take my side hustle money and start throwing it into savings, building that up, and reducing my debt. And then as I prepare to leave my day job, it's ultimately because I'm making at least the same amount of money, ideally just a little bit more than I'm making in my day job. During that whole time, as I've been building up that income, I've been building up my savings, reducing debt, ultimately freeing up cash flow, so that when I leave my day job, I'm making a little bit more money, and I'm also spending a little less money monthly, because I've reduced some debt, so I don't have some of those payments. And I've just gotten rid of stuff I don't need, subscriptions, stupid stuff like that, that just eats away at my money, that because I'm fat, dumb, and happy at a day job, getting a steady paycheck, I don't care about. But it's stuff that can eat into and cause anxiety or whatnot. If it starts eating into my monthly income, even if I'm making more, you're going to be more nervous. Like, oh my God, I don't have the day job. I don't have the day job anymore. Well, that's why we do all this, so that when you leave, everything's fine. You're actually in a better financial position than you were at your day job. You're spending less money a month for expenses, making more money income. So you actually have extra money. And that's what's going to allow you to, again, contribute to all this big, messy, contribute here, build up your cushion. Once you have this cushion, you're golden. You really are golden. And then it's just a matter of the overflow going here and then getting to work on this retirement stuff, because that's down the road anyway. You have a little time on that. And potentially from your day job, right? You have some retirement stuff or some pension stuff that's just kind of there, that also is contributing to this big pile of money ultimately that you'll have when you're ready to stop working. Okay. A little bit of a different lesson here, but it's something important, mainly this first part on how to prepare, how to basically go from side hustle to full-time income. Nobody really talks about it. It's just some, unspoken word like, oh, you just start making a lot of money and then you just start working from home. Well, honestly, there's a little preparation involved, right? There's a little preparation that you should take so that you can comfortably and confidently leave your day job to go full-time in your business. Okay. And that's the lesson. Make sense? Questions?